Now we're live. You said yes. You said, yeah, sure. And then you said, well, hold on. But in that moment, I had gotten it in there.
This is perhaps maybe not the fastest ever we've gotten in a call and started recording, because I know that honor was taken like a month ago or so, because we're like, hey, what's up, Woody? All right, we're already starting, by the way, Taylor. And it was like, all right, Jesus Christ. But this is top three. This was real
top
quick.
three. Yeah. We
right
really got to go. It was
they
were talking about hockey, and I don't know why I thought it was so interesting, but
he wanted to. I had mentioned the word hockey, and that's so rare. He just thought that he should get that on tape. But yeah, I was reading a little bit about the Winter Classic, and I just don't know what it is. I saw a photo. I saw that they had assembled a hockey rink in the middle of a baseball stadium, and it looked cold as fuck.
It's about what,
and then
5 years old? Would you say, Taylor?
Yeah, it's about 5 years that they've been doing it, and they have a couple different names for them. They have like a Winter Classic every year. They have like a Heritage Classic that they do somewhere. I don't know what heritage they're celebrating, the 5-year history of it. Who fucking knows? But they usually just pick the biggest rivalries, or they trump up some rivalry to make money. But most of the time they're real rivalries, so they'll have like Montreal and Boston.
Too. Like
they're what?
Usually they're real popular teams. Like I don't think that the Coyotes have been in them yet.
Yeah, no. So you're not gonna get like Carolina Hurricanes, Nashville Predators showdown, Battle of the South, or whatever you'd want to call it. Like, that's not going to happen. But partially because
I still don't quite understand this thing. So is this a tournament, or is this more of an exhibition game?
No, this counts as a regular season game. They just play it in front of Busch. So they did it in Busch Stadium, which is where the Cardinals play in St. Louis. It was rainy out in the first period, which they said sucked, but then the ice got better. One of the Blackhawks players from like Sweden was like talked shit on Carolina after the game. On Carolina in a game between the Blues and the Blackhawks. They're like, Hjalmarsson, how was the ice? And he's like, oh, it wasn't as bad as most of us thought. Better than Carolina last week. And then it was like, wow, you just lost a game and you're chirping Carolina. But yeah, it was a good game to watch. They were 1-1 most of the game. In the last 5 minutes, Tarasenko scored twice. One of them, it was accidental, where he just threw the puck in front of the net and it hit a Blackhawks player's skate who kicked it in. And then the other one was an incredible goal, like 50 or 60 seconds later. But yeah, that was a great game. I did not think we were going to win. But
of course not. You never think you're gonna win.
I never think we're gonna win.
I like it when Trump had Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, and you're like, he'll still lose.
That's what that was just him trolling Chiz. Like
I don't think so.
It was.
I think that was him being a St. Louis fan. I think that he's just unaccustomed to the idea that he might win.
With sports, I'm absolutely like that, to the point that I was at a Game 7 party with a bunch of friends. And the Blues were winning by like 3 goals going into the third or something. This was last year. I don't remember which series it was. But it had to be one of the first two. And I was the only person who was like, nope, you guys are all folly. It will turn to ashes in your mouth. And then like I'm watching, is it down to like 2 minutes, 1 minute? I mean, they're not going to score a goal every 18 seconds, are they? They couldn't.
They could.
They're going to score once every 10 seconds. I mean, that's something the Blues would happen. But
is there any situation where like a fancy goal counts as 2 points? That's one of the interesting things in football that I like. Like every you get there and you can go for 2. I love that. I wish more sports had that, because it's this moment of like a bit of a mind game, a bit of trickery can be played there, and you don't see that as much. I like the sports with trick plays, I guess is what I'm saying. Does hockey have any trick plays?
Oh yeah.
Like, is there a hidden puck play, like where like the guy has the puck in his hand?
Hockey's trick plays. I can't even think of one. What trick play is there in hockey?
I was thinking
like
just
when you hit it forward off a face-off? Like, that's not
It
tricky.
Depends what you mean by trick play.
Okay,
like,
so let me give you an example.
Like, are we talking like Little Giants, like
yeah,
because the annexation of Puerto Rico in Mighty Ducks or whatever it was?
All right, so in baseball, for example, they'll do things like, I'm sure you've seen in baseball where like the pitcher is throwing to first base a couple of times repeatedly to keep the runner closer to the bag. They'll do this play where the first baseman catches the ball and then sticks it in his underarm and then goes through the motion of throwing it back to the pitcher, and the pitcher will go through the motion of catching it and turning around and then the runner steps off the bag, of course, because he's seen all those motions, whether he like locked onto the ball or not, and the guy just fucking tags him.
I've seen those. Yeah, that you can nothing like that in hockey. It's too fast, and like nobody's gonna hide the puck because like if I'm out there with a bunch of 9-year-olds, I can do like some loop-de-doo things with like, where'd it go? Oh, it's in my back pocket, isn't it? But if I'm playing against, some guy from Yaroslavl, Russia, who's been playing his entire life, I'm not going to be like, oh, where'd it go, Sergey?
Hockey just doesn't lend itself to that. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like Taylor's saying, oh, the players are too good. But, dude, it happens in the NFL. It happens in the Major League Baseball. It doesn't happen in hockey. It doesn't happen in soccer.
The sport just doesn't lend itself. Even MMA. Even MMA, there's a couple of, we call them dirty plays. A trick play in baseball, everybody's like, ha, 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 yeah, the guy got tagged on the butt with a leather pouch, it's no big deal. But in MMA, if you come out to touch gloves, but instead you, like, throw a Superman punch and deck the guy, like, that's considered pretty low class. But it's still a trick. Oh, that's a trick play.
It's not a trick, though. It's just, you're blindsiding
tell
someone.
That to the guy's knocked out.
You wouldn't go,
to me.
You wouldn't go up to that person and say, I tricked you. Come on. Well, yeah, actually, you would. You would say, I tricked you. Yeah, okay, fine. That's
a trick play. I was wondering where Kyle was going because I couldn't think of any MMA trick
For the most part, seems like trick plays
are MMA,
relegated to sports where they have breaks. Like baseball and football lend themselves to trick plays because it's a short amount of play time where there's lots of conniving that can happen, especially football, you would think, because it's just like a battlefield where you're just doing a new strategy against an opposing, war force every time, basically. And that's, football, like watch the 2007, I think it's 2007 or 2008 Fiesta Bowl, Boise State versus whoever the fuck they played, I don't know, Oklahoma. And they have so many trick plays in that game. Like, it's great. But, yeah, hockey, not as much. Like, you can call it trick. Like, you can deke people and fanciful puck movement them out until they fall on themselves, but that's not a trick.
Right,
You're just better.
Yeah.
So here's another way you could have a bit of a trick play in MMA. I like this clip a lot.
Oh, real quick, because we got to talking on the Chiz thing. Yeah, the whole Trump was going to lose after those 3 states came in was definitely a little bit of joking with Chiz, because it was fun for me to watch Chiz having to type out over and over like, nope, Trump is going to win this thing. And I was just sitting at home like, nah, no fucking way, 0%. And Chiz is like, no, dude, you got to look at the writing on the wall. There's no way he's not going to win.
He's having that meltdown in his brain. He's that meme with the 2 red buttons. Must I be right and correct someone, or do I have to like praise Trump? It's like, it was the worst, and I could totally see him. I was like,
I started off that night very sure that Hillary was going to win, and I was having fun at Jackie's consternation, right? Because she's like, the New York Times had this needle as like % chance of who's going to win.
I loved that.
And it starts off at like Hillary 85% chance going to win, then 65, and then all of a sudden 55% chance Trump will win. And I'm like, oh, isn't it cool, this little suspense tonight?
When the young started feeling like, you could tell they were all getting diarrheal. They were so nervous that like they needed to take a shit, you could tell. Like, it was bad.
There was news today in politics, the Ford thing. Like,
Oh, yeah, they're not making a factory in Mexico, and they're making one in Michigan, or I honestly don't know.
Apparently, from what I gather, I looked all over on different news sources on this, and from what I can gather, the actual truth is this. They make small cars there. I can't even name them. The Cobalt, maybe? No, it's Ford. Whatever, the small Fords.
The Focus and the Escape, I think.
Is that it? Okay, so they make smaller cars there, and there's been a smaller demand than they expected. So rather than build some mega plant in Mexico, they're just going to enhance their existing one, and it's $700 million in investment instead of $1.6 billion. So it's market forces that are driving it. But
yeah, that's what Rick said. That's exactly market forces. Yeah.
Yeah, but Trump is out there like, I did it again, 700 more jobs or something like that.
Maybe he's altering the market forces. Maybe Trump's rhetoric on everything globally is shifting the markets around. I don't know. He's going to create an atmosphere in which things will happen. So
Trump's making it so people don't want small cars. I think that's the market force.
Or maybe people are thinking that that gasoline's going to be very cheap, and everybody's like, I need a big honking SUV. It's fucking Hummer time again. Trump's in office. Let's watch this knockout. It's 30 seconds.
It takes some real mental gymnastics to believe.
And if anyone's capable of those mental gymnastics, it's Donald Trump.
There's also Not as many small cars
He'll
are
get a
selling
there.
as they used to. Way more SUVs.
Right. I
100%.
think that's the actual market force that they're talking about.
Yeah.
That it's cheap gas. Okay. I'm ready to play. You guys ready?
I'm good.
One,
Yes.
two. Well, let me get back to 0. 1, 2,
This is
3.
terrible
play.
quality.
Remains in round 2.
Mark Hominick gets the guy. Oh!
How did he bamboozle him there?
So the guy tags him in the ribs with a very nasty body shot. I think he broke some ribs. And the guy made it seem like he was hurt a lot worse than he was, and then immediately like pops up and just decks the guy with a right.
So I've watched this thing 100 times. That guy Scott Shields, he actually has a broken rib in this. He's not faking it. He's down there. He has one last gasp of like fight left in him. He throws this like overhand right, and then he grabs his rib cage again and like goes down in pain. The guy, he had no more fight left. He was done.
Yeah.
He had one punch left in him. I guess you could call it a trick play because the guy thought he was really defenseless. But
Yeah, I guess you're right. He really is hurt. Yeah, I see that.
yeah, no, he was super duper hurt. Yeah, and the guy that got knocked out, they were friends. The guy that got knocked out, it like hurt his feelings. Like the loser of that fight, he was like, "Dude, like you faked it," and he's like, "No," and he had like X-rays to back it up and stuff. Like that guy was really hurt.
Yeah, but I like the trick plays. They always interest me. I like to watch those montages of NFL trick plays because I feel like those are the real thinking man's trick plays. Like there's a guy over there with a fucking chart, and he's like, "All right, boys, here's how it's gonna go down." You know, especially the plays where like the entire offensive line just stands straight up and only 2 players are moving. You know, the quarterback and the one receiver who's actually going to catch it, and so the defense is like really shocked and confused by that because it's always such an intense thing when the ball gets snapped and all of a sudden the other side's just standing there.
This is the wrong.
Yeah.
ball.
Oh, they'll do.
Wrong
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah.
You guys got the wrong ball.
I love that. The QB snaps the ball. He goes, "Oh, wrong ball," and he starts like jogging toward the sideline, holding the ball like it's like he's a server at a Mexican restaurant. You know, just really nonchalantly. And then once he gets down to the sideline, he just bolts it right up the side with the ball. Yeah, that's a good one.
I've
4
seen
yards
that.
Out. Yeah.
See, it's very difficult to do plays like that when you're playing against like competent and confident adults. Like I can totally picture myself as an 8th grader. I played football in middle school, and I could picture myself like as a linebacker and see some player do something like that and start walking over and be like, "This is really sneaky." But I'm also 14, and so I'm not going to off chance assume that kid adjacent to me is sneaking by and go tackle him because it might start a riot with a couple of those parents who are way too into
Or it could be
this.
very embarrassing, right? Like,
Yeah.
like they blow the whistle. Sorry, bit of a delay of game here. Number 13, Taylor decided to tackle little Mikey Walliger, the MS survivor.
Yeah.
Let's get him carted off the field, boys. Dear God. Oh, and both teams are now.
I didn't know there could be an actual wrong ball. I'm saying, look like a football. Come on.
This is unusual. His own team's kicking his ass as well.
Yeah, everybody's getting in on this.
I hated football for playing it.
Did you play it?
Yeah, for only in middle school for 2 years, and then I was like, fuck this. I'm only doing hockey year round, and oh man, it's just as soon for me I would get like really amped up, and then it would be over, and you'd have to go back and do some other bullshit play. And a lot of the time, what I didn't think about when I started football was not every play is coming to me. I don't get to do something every play, not even most plays. And so every once in a while, it's like, oh, you're playing wide receiver today, Taylor. Yeah, we're actually going to go for a pass. It's like, all right, cool, fucking awesome. Yeah, this is the first time you've trying to throw to me all day because we're in middle school, and I'm just basically running 30 yards every 20 seconds and then going, oh, too bad, So, oops, like it sucked.
Yeah,
it sucked.
I hated football. I played in like 7th grade or 8th grade or something like that, and my coach was legitimately mentally retarded. He had been hit in the head with an aluminum baseball bat a few years prior, and apparently used to be a normal guy, but he was diminished in a way that like nobody but the kids seemed to notice. Like I remember thinking like, yeah, Coach Oliver really ain't all there, is he? God damn.
Like coach is slow.
That's what it was. And I just remember being at a practice on a hot summer day, and I didn't know anything about anything, but I knew that my helmet was so goddamn tight that the pain was just excruciating. And I'm asking, like, is this a football thing? Like, should my skull just be like constantly hurting so bad? And they're like, yeah, you get used to it. And it's just like, I never got used to it. Like, I just remember this thing was just crushing my skull and causing these awful headaches. It was just the worst.
If they didn't give you the right sized helmet, and looking back, I got the excuse of, oh, you'll get used to it. But sincerely, it was, this dude doesn't fucking care, and he doesn't want to hear it. Because he is.
And he doesn't want to pay $5,000 for that custom helmet for Taylor.
Yeah.
They would have to retool the factory to get Taylor's helmet size.
That's why I became a goalie in hockey. You know, they have the elastic thing on the back. I stretch.
We can just bubble wrap that big-headed one. God,
damn. I've got two stories. I didn't play football because, I didn't do puberty like other kids did. But this guy, his name was Brian. He absolutely carried our middle school football team. Our middle school football team was pretty good because we had one guy who was really good. And, like, in the last game of the season to win whatever middle school championship there would have been, Brian had to run the thing, like, 8 yards for a touchdown. Like, it was a reasonable play, something that he'd done 100 times before. He didn't do it. He got to, like, the 1 yard line, and they downed him, and the team lost. It ruined him. Everyone blamed this guy for the football team's failure. He was the guy that didn't get into the end zone. Never mind the fact that the only reason they had gotten into the playoffs, and that deep into the playoffs, was because of Brian. The guy was an 8th grade superstar, but he didn't make the one play. Decided not to play in football, got wildly into drugs in high school, which in my head I imagine he wouldn't have done if he, like, had a sport that he cared about and a team that he was part of and such. Like that one fucking yard in middle school football, I think altered that guy's life forever. And
we've all got those 1 yards, right? Like
butterfly effect moments.
Yeah, man. There's butterfly effect moments for everyone, and like, of course, we remember back on the big ones that meant a lot to us, where we had to make the big decision. Like, am I going left or right down this path that's less traveled here? Like where am I going here? But then there's some of them that are just kind of made for you, whether it's through some injury or some failure or someone else's decision that you have nothing part of. Maybe you don't remember, but that's a big one in his whole fucking life, I bet. That guy's really somewhere right now. He's 41 years old, and his life is much more diminished right now than it should have been if he had just went 3 more feet on a field of play when he was 13 years old.
The other one that Kyle mentioned that his coach was diminished. I can't be specific about this all because I wouldn't want to hurt his or her feelings, but there's this person in my universe that is clearly diminished. And, like, I was talking to my daughter, and I'm like, where do you see him or her? Everyone just pretends that he or she is not retarded. And Hope, like, instantly got Tumblr on me. She's like, that is not nice. You wait, right? And then she spends, like, the next, 6 hours with him or her. And then we're driving home back, alone. And I'm like, retarded, right? Right? It's not just me. Like, everyone is, like, ignoring it.
She's like, I have never seen an adult with that many Legos, first of all.
Dude, he is totally retarded. Like, Hope was telling me, like, she's like, I can't believe it. Like, yeah, no one's making reference to it. They're all treating him or her like a regular person. And like, we're watching her or him struggle to read this menu. And, like, what adults struggle to read a menu? How is this a thing? And like, I could talk about other activities we did. I feel like I'd give stuff away, but man, I'm just like, why does this person have adult responsibilities and freedoms?
That's what I like, that everybody's being cool about it and making this person feel good, and they don't have to deal with that because they're living in a happy oblivion. It's just factual that the stupider you are, whether that's a nice thing to say or not, the easier it is for you to be happy, right? Like I mean, my fucking dog is not very bright, okay? But there is no happier creature in existence than that little dog, because all he gets is belly rubs and, like, duck treats, okay?
It doesn't even understand responsibility.
He has no idea of like what responsibility would even be. It's all about belly rubs and duck treats and me going, moo, 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 moo. You're beautiful. He loves
and then it goes to bed until it's time for bed. belly rubs and treats.
Yeah, but so by the same regard, I kind of feel good that everybody's being cool around that person, him or her, and making them feel good. The problem is, though, if you give that person adult responsibilities and then you're the one who has to like suffer because of that. So because Ted is the one going to get everybody's coffees, you're like, ugh. I guess I just won't get one. He's gonna scald himself or get everybody like a cup of hot tar anyway. Like this isn't gonna go well. Yeah. That football coach was the worst though. I remember like we never won a game. And probably partially my fault, but I never grasped the concept of football and like what I was supposed to be doing while playing under him. It was only afterwards that I like looked back and I was like, so I was on defense. Okay. I was supposed to be getting that guy with the ball. Well, shit. If they just told me that, I might have gotten him once or twice. Yeah, nobody told me that.
Nobody even told you what to do?
No. Yeah. I lined up with a guy to my left and a guy to my right, and when they said go, I pushed the guy in front of me. That's all I did. I but easily, if someone had gotten in my ear and been like, Kyle, you see that guy you watch the ball. He's going to give it to one guy, and that guy's going to try to either hand it to a second guy or throw it to a second guy. You fucking hit whoever has it, and you try to stop that ball from
that guy you're pushing, your objective is to get around him.
They didn't tell me that.
Who knew that, right? Yeah, I thought it was just a pushing game.
You were playing it like O-line, just kind of keeping them at bay. You know, just,
yeah. I played soccer and had the same experience. So this is little kid. I don't know. I'm 7 or 8 years old or something. I would always get yelled at about being out of position and chasing the ball too much. No one ever told me what in position was. No one took a picture of the field and said, "This is kind of your area to roam." You know, you're either playing the ball or making sure the ball doesn't get. I was a midfielder. You know, they just should have given me my area to roam, and I would have stayed there. I could follow instructions, but they just yelled at me when I was too far, and I don't know,
no instructions were given to me. Ever.
I can remember
this so well. Like I never had a concept of. This was the last game of the year when I can remember it so clearly right now. I remember being on that football field. The football field's just right up the road. Like it's a quarter mile from here where this happened. Mm-hmm. And I just remember being like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be getting that guy. Well, next play. And that was my last play ever. Like I never went back in, never played again ever. I finally figured it out, and there was no more football to be played for the rest of the
same
experience. That was your butterfly effect moment.
My coach told me.
Hit the tipping point.
My coach actually did the thing that I talked about. He gave me the thing. He's like, look, Woody, you're supposed to go from here to here. Don't go faster or farther than that guy. He laid it all out for me. And then he acted like I had maybe I did. He's like, this is the best you've ever played. I was in position all game long. I was doing the right thing.
This is the best you've ever coached.
I should. I didn't know. You know,
I know. You're 12-year-old Woody. You're like,
thanks. Yeah, right. I was younger than that. I was just. Yeah, I wish they had told me. My brother, he played defense, and he could kick the ball better. You know, you play little tiny kid soccer, but there's that one kid who can kick the ball like a grown up. That was my older brother. And they put him. He wasn't particularly fast. He was a little chunky, if I'm honest. But so you're on defense, and if the ball comes to you, you kick it that way. And he would do that like a machine. And you know that situation where both people kick the ball at the same time? I don't know if it doesn't seem to happen at the pro level, but in midget soccer it happens constantly. And they're both kicking the ball at the same time. It always went the direction that my brother intended it to go. It was just like, oh, is there a tie? Pat wins the tie. Done. So
I remember playing baseball, and I was very young, and just being out there, and I was horrible at it. Horrible in that I didn't pay attention. I would look at bugs and pick at grass in the outfield. I fucking hated baseball to the point that they'd hit a line or a grounder or whatever, and I'd miss it because I wouldn't notice until they're like, Taylor, and it's like, well, it's already gone. I'll get
the next one.
I remember my dad being like, come on, get your head in the game. And then I stood up. I was in position. I was just looking at bugs in position instead of looking at, the player, and then just kind of thought about it. Was like, what do I do? Just mean mug that the next 8-year-old to come up there, chew my tongue. There's just nothing to be doing in baseball. It seems to show I'm really in it, when they already relegated me to the outfield, where they know that maybe 1 to 3 balls the entire afternoon are going to eke their way out there. And if I miss a couple, fuck it. Like
we had all kinds of I don't know what we called it, but like some of the guys seem to know more about it than me because they played like a year of baseball together. But there was like a cheer. Not really. That sounds kind of lame that there's a cheer, but like each player would in turn like pump up the pitcher. Like there was almost a thing where like all the players in the field were kind of like, "Come on, Jim, 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 gonna get him. Come on, Jim, woo, woo, woo!" And like each person would do that while like the chorus of people was clapping, and it kind of became it moved around the field. And I always thought that was super lame. And when I was pitching, I was always like, just shut the fuck up. God, this is hard. Like I'm trying to like really concentrate here. Like I'm thinking about stuff. Like this is terrifying.
You know what's really hard is when we would play hockey and we would know going into it, like this is in a shitty area, in a shitty rink against a team that does not have a lot of funding, but has a big school and they are very rowdy. And so you just go into the rink and the entire place is just packed with opposing fans drunk. And they're like all 16 and 17. I used to walk in and be like, where are all of these kids' parents? Like, where's the whole school's parents? Did none of these players' parents come to watch the game? It's just a bunch of drunk 15 and 16-year-olds jumping around. And being a goalie, that was the worst. Because at the beginning of the second period, when you had to skate over to their side of the rink and play that period, you just got food thrown at you. You got pieces of clothing thrown at you, not like anything sexy, just old hats that you don't want anyway, and only hats because you can disc those. You can't like throw t-shirts, obviously. But, oh, it sucked. It's so demoralizing to be a high school player having like fries landing in your crease. Like, you suck. It's like, oh, well, I'm just out here trying to have fun. You guys are... most of you are in jail by now. Hopefully.
You got that. Yeah, I've told
I don't
my
think they
T-ball
went to
stories.
college.
Oh my gosh, I would miss the ball. It was on a tee and everything, but I still miss it. I think I didn't know what I was doing. I would face. You know how when you bat, kind of face sideways and swing. Well, I didn't do that. I would face toward the pitcher and swing, and no one taught me. Like the coach, thought I was hopeless. My dad would be working. No one played catch with me or anything.
I don't know if you got the worst or best of it though, because I had hours and hours of training. Like I had hours of like how to stand and how to like swing a bat, and like I had special bats, and I had a pitching machine, and I had a pitching coach, and it was a lot of work that really went nowhere.
I played with my friends, and I would play catch, right? But they were advanced, so they're like, throw me a pop up, throw me a line drive, and I'm like, throw me another grounder, because it's the only thing I could catch.
Hey, he's got a great ground game.
Roll it to me like a bowling ball.
We had a kid on my team, and I still know the guy. I still know he's a year younger than me. I know where he is now. Like he's in his hometown. I know what he does for a living. I see him occasionally as I drive through town, give him a little wave. But as kids, there was something wrong with him. He talked slowly. He was bright. This wasn't a dumb kid. He didn't have anything wrong with him. Literally, it was just he was slow. Like literally slow. Like he talked kind of slow, and he moved really slow. And if you like toss something at his face, he would never go ta-ta and like catch it like I might. Like it was just never going to happen. He had the worst reflexes ever. And I remember like he was playing third base, and we had a shortstop who was this big black kid who was like a foot taller than the rest of us, and he was just like fucking run, like caught the ball and just fires it at third from maybe 15 steps and nailed that kid right in the mouth. And I remember they had to give him oxygen because he was freaking out so much. They were so much blood because he couldn't get his glove up to here, and that's like I couldn't fathom that.
I'm picturing the black kid in the wheelchair from Malcolm in the Middle.
No,
this exact thing happened to me, getting just smacked with a line drive right in the face as a pitcher in baseball. I was so young that I wasn't even the pitcher. I was the designated kid that stood next to the dad in the pitching machine. Yeah. And I just stood there doing nothing because if the ball came towards me, I knew that Mr. Turner was going to pick it up. Like it was his fucking job. He volunteered for this. And so I wasn't paying attention, and I just got cranked in the nose. And it was the first time of just like almost like coming back to on the ground, when you like lose it for like a half second almost, and just like black, and then you almost think you're blind. It was horrible. That was one of the times I actually didn't break my nose. So that's that.
You've broken it?
I've broken it twice.
Oh, we've all broken it, huh? That sucks. It's so painful. Oh, it's so painful. That's the worst. And it doesn't take much to break a nose. Like it's just there's not much there. That hurts so good. You would think, evolutionary speaking, we'd have come up with something better than that, right? Because it's like right there in the middle of our fucking head. Like, it just takes a quick jab to break that thing and send your eyes in watering and your whole world into mayhem.
Ronda Rousey was on Conan, I think, or something, and she's like, my nose doesn't break. He's like, isn't that a cool thing? Like, I turn out to be a fighter and I have an unbreakable nose. And they're like, what, really? And she's like, yeah. Like, you know how we have like a bridge?
Very good people.
You know, like apparently her cartilage goes like all the way back to her eyes. And like, I want to like experience this, but she's like, here, you know, press my nose. Conan presses it, and he's like, oh, that's weird. Like, it doesn't have a firm, breakable bridge. The whole thing is just flexy.
Yeah. When mine got broken, the right side of the bridge separated from the rest. So like the part that's near this eye, like it fractured long ways, and it kind of came that way. And so they had to go up in I had to go under anesthesia, and they like went up in and like
septum thing. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I know I went under and there was an operation
How old were you?
correct it. 8th, 9th grade, something like that.
Okay. I had to do something like that when I was like, I think they took care of it when I broke my nose the first time when I was 7 or 8. And like because up until that time in my life, like I would always get my dad to be like, stop chewing with your mouth open, stop chewing with your mouth open. And I'd be like, I'm really doing my best, because my nose was so fucked that I couldn't chew with my mouth closed and breathe. And so my eating process until I was about 8 was
like a marine mammal.
Chewing and be like, Taylor, why are you so out of breath? It's like, I'm trying to eat. You know, I have to take little bites and chew them real quick and swallow, then get another breath of air. And so when I got that procedure done and came back out of it, I suddenly was like, oh, look at all these people. They weren't holding their breath at all. It wasn't hard for them to close their mouth and breathe. Like, I thought that everybody was struggling to do it and they were doing it to be polite anyway. No, but yeah, I broke it when I was playing tag, and my brother and I collided, and his forehead cracked me right in the nose. And I disagreed about the pain thing. I know you've broken yours too, Woody. I didn't think it was painful other than just like the shock. Like the amount of blood that came out. I remember my first thought as I was running from the basement all the way upstairs, there was a hallway with white carpet. And my thought was, oh my God, my mom's going to kill me, because it was just blood. It looked like someone was murdered and the body had to be, you know, quick stashed away. And
I remember, so I had my nose broken 4 times. And someone told me that, like, oh, yeah, this is maybe after the second time. Like, you know, they hit him in the nose. It totally takes the fight out of some people. Some people just quit. And I thought, oh, not me, right? Because I've already been through this test. I think it was the next time it was broken that it just sucked every ounce.
Depends how you break
interest.
It, right?
Yeah, this one was broken worse. And it bled more. And I don't know if I said it was painful or not. I don't think pain is really what I was going through. I was just shocked, maybe concussed a little. I'm not sure. But
there's a lot of stuff going on.
The second one almost didn't even phase me, because the doctor found out afterward that like I guess there was like a lingering crack line of where it had broken, and it just like broke like 2 Legos just like back in place. I was playing fucking basketball. At the time, I played hockey year round. I was wrestling. Football season had just ended, and I'm playing in fucking basketball practice on the C team or whatever I made, just because I wanted to go out and try it, and I was terrible. And this dude on my team was scrimmaging so hard that he came down with the ball and just started going at it with his elbows. Cranked me in the nose, and immediately, because it had broken there before, like the blood, it just was like a switch, just a faucet, and they had to switch the entire practice to the other side of the court as I stood there, and they were like, Taylor, come with me. No, wait, don't track the blood everywhere. Just stay in there in your own blood for a bit. We're going to go get a bunch of kits and things and call your mom so you can go to the hospital. And, oh, it sucked. He's the same guy who grabbed that flag out of my hand with fervor and broke this finger and messed it up. Same guy.
That sounds like the same guy.
Twice on my team, only 2 high school injuries. Little ones, but the only 2.
So I was watching this thing. I don't either. I was watching this thing on Netflix about this World's Strongest Man competitor in England. And he's a huge fucking mammoth of a guy. And the whole documentary is like leading up to him competing in the World's Strongest Man competition this year. Well, they had it yesterday, and he placed third. And I was feeling kind of bad for him, and so I started looking into it. An American won, by the way. An American is now the world's strongest man. But I was surprised because watching this Brit like work out, and of course he's saying it. He's like, no one has this intensity, no one has this work ethic. He drives this big, jacked up, ridiculous, crazy truck, and he's just a mammoth of a man, as you might expect. I looked into it. He dislocated most of his fingers like the first day, and then he just kept going anyway. And I got on his Instagram. He's like, this fires me up so much now for next year. He's like, my fingers were all dislocated, but I still placed third. He's like, there's one thing where he has to grab a rail and like walk with it. He's like, I could only hold it for a second at a time. He's like, you give me that category and then just one more point per thing, and I'm first place. He was really happy, and I was like, wow, the guy placed third without any fucking fingers somehow.
Too, most of that documentary, it looks like. So the way they always do the food section of those shows, it's interesting in the same way that if you show up at the zoo and they're feeding the elephants, it's interesting just to be like, that is like a whole Toyota Tundra worth of hay that it just scooped up and then just shoveled in its mouth for, just on a whim. Didn't even matter.
I was wondering where you were going with the Tundra thing. I'm like, that is a whole desert worth of water.
I should have said F-150. Yeah, and if I was using a food reference, using a Tundra, yeah, you probably could eat a whole Tundra worth of food in one bite, you idiot. Like, there's no food on the Tundra. But, him eating. He goes to the store, and I don't like it the same way when vegetarians do it when they say I can't eat something. Like, they'll say, I can't eat that. Like, I want them to say I won't eat that, because then it kind of displays the true brattiness of it in some situations where if like you're going out to eat and you buy an appetizer, oh, try this. I can't eat that. No, you won't eat it. If you couldn't eat it if it was a piece of plastic. You won't eat it. You're choosing not to. I won't, like, I don't know. And him doing that, it was like he spent like $250 a week, 250 quid, which is even more, a week on food just for him. And it was like, yeah, I understand this is your dream, dude, but like, I felt bad for his family the whole time, where it's like this, like, and his wife was like the coolest lady fucking ever.
She was hot.
Like the most supportive, loving woman you could imagine for that. Like, that dude would not be where he is without her at all.
I don't know, because he's such a gigantic.
Yeah, some of those competitors, like there was a guy from Sweden or Switzerland, same country really, Magnuson, who was he's somebody's version of perfection. Very tall.
That's not the mountain, is it?
No,
that's
this guy was blonde and he looked like a Brad Pitt times 4 somehow.
No, he did not look like that. No, to answer that, so these strong men, like you look at this guy was showing the progression pics throughout, and when he was like 26 or whatever, 24, he was shredded, looked great, like a Grecian god carved out of a marble kind of body that every guy would want. And then it shows like 5 years later, and he's got this huge belly, this distended belly, these enormous pectorals. Like, he's so big that
he got thicker.
It's unappealing. It's like
he's very thick.
He has to wear a sleep apnea machine because he's worked out to the point that he's dangerously overweight. Excuse me, but like that, that's not good.
Fat?
No. Well, he's not fat, but he's dangerously overweight because he's so muscular, and he does carry a lot of fat too.
You could not shoot through this guy with a 9mm. It just wouldn't get the job done.
You don't think so?
No. You could not shoot through this guy with a 9 from front to back. He's like 3 feet or something. There's a lot of, and it's not fat either. I mean, there's fat in there, but there's a lot of gristle and a lot of muscle and some hardy bone to hold it all together. So yeah, you couldn't some hardy bone. You could not shoot through that fucker with a 9. You needed some armor piercing rounds. But I was happy for him that he had,
because a 9 pierces really well. That might not be the weapon. That might be the caliber, right? Like a 45 would pierce less.
It probably but he's so big. You're gonna need something.
A rifle.
You need a 357 Magnum.
I stopped watching it partially in the like 2/3 of the way through because it was starting to make me sad, and I was thinking like, oh, there's no fucking way that it was right after this section where they're like, now let's meet so and so's competition, and it showed like the 3 greatest guys in the world. One of them is the mountain speaks for itself. Enormous. The other one is this enormous Eastern European man. And then the third guy was the enormous Eastern European man is shaped like a pear. He looks like.
I think that helps.
You couldn't imagine if you passed this guy in a store, in a grocery store, you wouldn't be like, that guy's a strong man. That would be the furthest thing from your mind. You'd be like, that guy's probably not in great shape. He's a little overweight. He's got a weird body shape.
Country
and then
strong,
they showed
though.
they showed him lifting, and he's apparently like the best in history. Like sets records for fun. Like I don't remember his name because it was like it had 2 vowels and half a dozen consonants in each part, but.
I think his body shapes help. So, like, Woody linked a guy here who looks like, what I would imagine is like the perfect dimensions, the ratio between his calves and thighs and torso and everything.
Version of perfect.
Yeah, it's very symmetrical. I guess is what it looks right to my eye. But some of those other guys have these really big stomachs that can make them look soft. But I think that's a huge a bonus for them because when they're lifting those boulders, they'll get it on that gut and like use it to like launch it back and do like a power clean motion to like get things above their head. Or when they've got the kegs, like they're really able to utilize that big belly to help.
HGH causes your organs to swell.
Yeah.
And people accuse Chuck Liddell of it a lot. I don't know. I know you got into MMA in the last couple of years. And Chuck Liddell, of course, you know who he is. But when he fought, he had like a beer gut with abs on it, and it was always weird to me. I'm like, that guy's kind of fat for a pro athlete, but wait a minute, look at him breathing. His abs are like swelling and doing their thing, and it turns out that happens if you do HGH. I don't know if Chuck did or if you're just born that way. Probably did, but yeah, it. So I think sometimes those guys, like the strongman, are just overdoing it like crazy, and they might just like be swollen from the HGH.
I've been listening to a lot of Ronda Rousey talk, and one of the things Joe said, he brought up Chuck Liddell. He was talking about how early in his career, one of the things that Chuck brought in his toolbox was that chin. He almost used it as an offensive/defensive weapon to close ground with people. He was like, "Yeah, go ahead, hit me 3 times. I only got to hit you once."
Down here too. He's always
Okay, and they point. Joe said he's like, eventually his brain had just taken too much, and his brain, like, he didn't say it, but what I'm thinking is like his brain has a little scar tissue on it. He's like your broken nose that's like a Lego that now just snaps. And he by the end he had no chin. It seemed like he was getting put to sleep left and right by shots that didn't look like they should do it. Maybe that's what happened to Ronda. Maybe it only took one. Maybe it took Holly Holm fucking kicking her in the neck and even brought that up. He's like, those neck kicks, those are bad concussions. That messes a lot of stuff up in your brain. To like snap like that, your head goes one way, your body goes the other. So he thought maybe that was part of the reason why she just got decimated. But there's like 8 reasons why she got decimated in that fight, like legitimately. Like there's no one thing. Everybody wants to be so black and white, like, oh, bad coach. End of story. No.
Yeah, I love the fact that all of her fights are GIF length. Like in all seriousness, because that's the only way I've seen any of her fights is because they can fit into like 45 seconds to a minute, and they're exciting because it's nonstop action of her getting her ass beat. At least in this one. Or winning, yeah, or she wins really quick and equally good. I don't really care if she succeeds or not, but yeah, she's over now, right? Like that's her ship has sailed.
I think that it is. And in the post-fight interview, they asked Amanda, they're like, "Do you think it's over?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, she's done. Rhonda's done. She can go make her movies now. She can go make her movies now." No, I've been saving that one. I got it. I got the tab open. What did he say?
He said this. He's like, a lot of fighters do this. He said Anderson Silva was particularly guilty of it. Like when they're on top of the world, they're like, maybe I'll retire. I think I might go. He's like, what they really want is for you to say, no, don't go. No, please stay. We love you so much. Don't end it now. He's like, then they get a couple losses, right? And suddenly no one's begging Anderson Silva to keep fighting. And he's like, I'm coming back. No, I'll keep doing it. No. Like that whole I want to retire thing was just talk, and Ronda talked about retiring all the time when she was on top, right? And according to Chael, what he expects to see is Ronda to say, "All right, no, I'm still good. I'm still Ronda."
Who's she gonna fight though? All right, let's look at the bantamweight fucking division, right?
Holly.
Well, Holly's not a bantamweight anymore. Holly's about to step up and be the 145-pound champ. And I don't know if Dana is going to want his 145-pound champ to be dropping down to. He's going to have deja vu from what he had with Conor, right? And he's going to have to be snatching belts.
I see the complication. It's a good point. But like, you want to fight with intrigue. You know, Holly lost twice after she got that belt. She hasn't won since, I don't think, right? So, or maybe has she won since? I'd have to look up her record.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do know that she immediately lost twice, and so it's like, oh, do you want to fight with a fighter that's beatable, where there's some intrigue?
Beatable and beatable by Ronda are two different things. Holly has her kryptonite. Holly is her kryptonite, right? It's striking. It's accurate, stiff striking,
so
right?
Let me throw this out there. What happens if Ronda says, all right, I need 9 months to get ready. I'm going to TriStar. I'm going to TriStar is where GSP and Rory McDonald train. The other big gym they talk about all the time. Where's John Jones go with that Greg Jackson in Albuquerque? Anyway, you know, the other big gym.
Go to Big Bear.
Oh,
up there with the low altitude. Yeah.
High altitude.
Yeah, high altitude. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the two Wink Jackson and TriStar, like if she would go to one of those things, right? And she just sort of, well, I guess if she's fighting Holly, she couldn't go to Holly's gym. But if she were to go there and work on her box striking for the next 9 months, you take what she already, like everyone.
But what's Holly doing in the next 9 months? Forgetting? Like, you know what I mean? Like Holly's going to spend the next 9 months getting better at her boxing, but Holly's already like a champion. Her pro boxing record was like 23 out of 28 or something. Like, it was legit. Like, she's a legitimate world-class striker. And she seemed in that last fight to figure out how to prevent the clinch. She's pushing off Ronda's hips. She's staying back. And Ronda has to learn a new skill, right? And I don't know that it needs to be boxing, but boxing is a science from what I've heard. I know I can't fucking box. I know if I wanted to be even a piddling low-level boxer who could go into some like bullshit gym and spar with someone and they wouldn't laugh at me, would take a year and a half of like all my time. Like before I can walk in and like spar, like put on gloves and spar with some guy and he doesn't look at my feet and go, like, you know, but because if you look at Ronda in that fight, and this isn't my expert Golden Glove having analysis or anything, this is what everybody's saying. Her feet aren't moving. Her head's not moving. Amanda is teeing off on her like she's a speed bag. If you look at her face, if you pause it, there's a red mark this big that's right here in the center of her goddamn face. She's not getting hit over here. She's not getting hit in the collarbone. She's not slipping punches. She's eating them right fucking there. Like 8 or 9 of them in 40 seconds.
Turns out that unbreakable nose was really didn't play to her advantage. You know,
I don't think it broke.
This all day.
I don't think it broke either. But
everything Kyle said is right on the money, according to me. What am I? But
according to everyone, you know, it's just the way it is.
I don't know shit about Kyle. Doesn't know much about hockey, but if he saw a player skate out there holding the stick the other way with the blade at the top, he'd be like, you know what, I don't think that's right. I think this guy's not very good. That can't be a good way to play. Like, you don't have to. I don't know anything about boxing, but I could tell that she is not a good boxer because this is not a working defense in boxing.
I feel like if she would have spent 9 months working with Firas Zahabi, that he would be like, all right, look, you know, we got to get some basic defensive boxing in here. You're going to have some, by the time I'm done with you, you're going to have some head movement. You're going to keep your hands in the right position, and you will know how to clinch against a boxer. This distance can be closed. George St. Pierre clinched against boxers all the time. His wrestling was fantastic. He'd have Ronda doesn't do double leg takedowns, but I know she could be.
That was my next thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't do single leg takedowns. She does judo throws only. She needs to start off with some wrestling that's meant to be that's all about. And I've heard that the reason she doesn't do double legs, I've heard the reason that she doesn't do that stuff is because her knees are worn out. They say her knees are shot from judo, and she can't go down on her knees and get the double legs.
Do you know that double legs are illegal in judo?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but
wrestlers were going
never
against
seen
judo
in judo,
people,
so.
beating them, and like because the wrestling has a big takedown aspect of it too. So they would compete in these judo matches, beat the judokas, and judo responded by saying, "You know what? We need a rule against this." And that was their answer. So
yeah, those two. That's rock and fucking scissors. But then you put it into MMA, and there's gonna be we're gonna be in a clinch, and that judo throw is gonna be great.
That makes
I don't
sense.
know. I think she needs to learn some sort of wrestling that's about closing distance and getting the clinch. I don't think that she can learn striking. I don't think that you're going to take someone who is well, I'm going to call her a 4 out of 10 in the bantamweight division at striking. Like if she was a video game character, you'd give her 4 out of 10 on her striking. You would. You just would. I think that so Bates.
Has she ever won with striking?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. She beat up. She clobbered on Bates. But if you watch it, she's coming in like this, like just running her down to close this. And Bates, who throws arm punches, is still like fucking clocking her a couple times. Ronda's bleeding at the end of that fight, and of course Ronda's like, don't cry. But I was thinking like, you don't cry, your nose is bloody, lady. Like you went in there and looked sloppy right there. I remember thinking that fight was sloppy. But now, like I said, I look at the bantamweight division. Who's she gonna go down to? And I was thinking like one of those Polish chicks. Those Polish chicks might wreck her. Like I remember watching them fight a couple of UFC events ago. There's 2 Polish chicks. Their names are like Schletvinko or something like that. Those bitches don't fuck around. They are much tougher than Ronda. They took the beating Ronda took the other night in the first 3 times over. Each of them did. They were
Ronda
both
make
beaten.
115?
No.
Probably not.
5'7"?
You're probably right. Yeah.
5'7", and she's wide.
She makes
hips,
135
wide shoulders.
easily. Like I remember in The Ultimate Fighter when one of her fighters missed weight, like just to prove a point, she made 135 the next day. Like Lozon fights at 155, and when he makes 155, like he'll walk around at like 172-ish, but by the time he's flying to Vegas, he's like 162-ish or something, 169, or 5, something like that, 162, 165. So he's dropping like 8 to 10 pounds in water weight, when he does that. Ronda apparently is just within, drinking distance any day. I don't know what to call that, dehydration distance. And she could just make 135 tomorrow. She looked amazing. It was the best looking Ronda that I can remember.
When I saw that streamable video of the pose off, I started really thinking again about all of my predictions and all my thoughts about the thing, because she just looked so goddamn good that it just looked like if she did get that clinch, it would be overpowering. And I think it might have been. If she judo throws Amanda bumps her head on the way down. Joe said this, and she's a bit foggy, and then she goes right into that arm bar, because Ronda really is like world-class arm bar. Like if there was a place that everybody wanted to go to learn the arm bar, you might go to Ronda. Like there may not be a better arm bar in MMA. She's clearly used it at
she
what,
spots
6
arm bar opportunities that other people don't.
Sure.
Yeah, she finds a way to get to it.
She can make opportunities, maybe. Yeah, very good at it. I don't know. I think Ronda's done. She's going to retire. I don't think that she can move around weight classes, although I would like to. I'd like to see her still fight. But there's just, I mean, if she went down to 115, she'd be a killer. Because those girls don't have the knockout power to hurt her before she gets that clinch. The problem, in my opinion, is that the division advanced farther along until there was striking good enough to stop Ronda from grabbing you, because that's all she ever did anyway.
I hear you. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I guess when they talk about the stock market, they're like, when it's at its worst, it's never as bad as you think it is, and when it's at its best, it's never as good as you think it is. I feel like right now, Ronda, like everyone has decided that she just doesn't have the skills to compete in this division, that she's a joke, that she's terrible, and she's easy to hate. Like in The Ultimate Fighter, she was completely hateable.
In life.
Off Misha
yeah.
Look, if she was your neighbor, you wouldn't like her. She's just not a nice person. She's mean to everyone, etc. But when I put my fight analyst hat on, I say, you know what? Like, let's not forget the dominant run she was on. Misha Tate was just Misha Tate beat Holly Holmes, and Ronda beat the fuck out of her twice, broke her arm one of the wins.
I wouldn't say she beat the fuck out of her. Misha roughed Ronda up. That's like they went to the third, didn't they? Third or fourth?
They might have, but I really felt like Ronda took her for a ride on those takedowns. Like she was just flipping her in the air, slamming her. I remember it being very one-sided, and the first time she literally broke Misha's arm. Like that's a thing people say, like, I'm going to break it. No, she broke it. She put her in an arm bar, and she was mad at her, so she broke it. And they're like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel a little guilty for breaking her arm? Like, did you mean to do that? And she's like, no and yes.
Did you see Ariane giving Ronda the like crazy eyes at the weigh-in? So remember when Ronda was talking about do nothing bitches?
Yes, yes.
Ariane was one of those do nothing bitches who was just standing up there being pretty, making more money than some fighters. So at the weigh-in, Ariane's just like, you cunt. Like, just looking at her, it was great.
That's another example of how hard Ronda is to like. Like, who picks fights with the card girls?
The ring girl.
Yeah, like
the hottest one too.
Terrible. Like, that's really bad PR for yourself. Like, that's not. She maybe she was trying to be bad girl, but that just comes off as cunt. Like, nobody would be like Conor McGregor would never go to a restaurant and make a huge scene about like, oh, this isn't a twice baked potato. Send it back. Yo, send this back. Oh, this whole steak is fucking awful. You'll do nothing. You'll take it back. Is what you'll do. There's another steak. Oh, everybody watching. I'm not going to give you a tip either. I'll throw my kind of monster right at you. Get another potato or whatever he does. Like, he wouldn't do that because it would be like, oh, that's you just being a shitty person. He does it to the right targets.
Right.
Because he knows how to do PR. That's not her actually being like a bad girl at all. She's just being a nasty person.
Her, speaking out about, I felt like she was both speaking out about the underpayment of some fighters while at the same time taking a dig at someone she definitely thought was just all substance and all flash and no substance, which is what a ring girl is. I like looking at those ring girls. I wish they wore less.
I don't know how hard it is to be one. Right?
They're fucking smoking. They pick good girls. I think it's hard. As far as hard, I don't think there's any skill. I mean, you just hold the card and all. There's difficult.
Stay in very good shape.
You just stay in very good shape and be pretty.
Yeah.
So Ronda's job is much harder.
Okay, I'm with you there. Ronda's job is very hard. One of the toughest in the world. Like, let's just take that and set it aside. Yeah. But like to a lot of the people who might be criticizing ring girls and jumping on Ronda's side, I think like, dude, do you know how much those ring girls are denying themselves? I'd like a six-pack, but I'm aware of the decisions I'm making that prevent that. I don't know. My dinner was great today.
Ariane would not be a cow without the UFC. She was gonna be looking good no matter what happened in this world.
You take Ariana and make her a housewife, and she looks like a hot soccer mom, not a ring girl.
Nowhere. She's just tight. Speaking of hot soccer moms, did you see the New Year's Eve special and oh God, what's her name? Mariah Carey. First of all, Mariah Carey looks so goddamn good in that one-piece thing she's wearing with that big, thick ass and those thick thighs.
Little thick for me.
Oh, God damn, no. I bet that ass is hard too. I bet you have to grab the whole thing and move it up and down to get it to really jiggle. Like, that ass is hard. It is muscular. It is thick. Those thighs and those big fat titties. Jim Norton was going on about this all day. He was like, oh yeah, those big fat titties.
I don't know why women, female performers aren't more nervous dancing, because I only watched a little bit of that clip, but I saw her outfit. All it seems like it would take is just a little inch too wrong to the left or the right, and your pussy's just hanging out.
I think they're careful
in front of everyone.
Tape. I think it's a whole thing.
I think there's tape.
I don't think she's as hot as Kyle thinks she is. I guess we just have different tastes in women.
I mean, I don't think she's that hot either.
Come on. She's ridiculous. That body? Oh, my God.
I'm looking right at it.
This link just says not found.
Yeah, that link didn't work.
Oh, no.
But the real funny thing, of course, is she got caught lip syncing and just terribly. And then when she did have the opportunity to sing the songs, she didn't. She just sort of noped out on the whole thing. Still.
Yeah, are you sure, Kyle? She looks like she's a little heavy.
I want to look at this, dude. What do you? That looks great to me. That looks real nice. I don't know. Maybe. That's a terrible angle for her chin. I feel like that's been doctored. Look at her chin. Hang on a minute. I gotta zoom into this and look at her.
Someone photoshopped Trump's chin into this.
It looks like
what she looks like.
It looks like she's got stubble in her chin. I feel like this has been doctored. Almost.
She looks like Newt Gingrich from the lips down.
Yeah, look at her chin. What happened?
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna ignore her chin for the time being and just look at the rest of her, and I'm digging all of that. Yeah, she's probably 10 pounds above her perfect number, but she's a big Latina girl anyway. All right, she's a diva.
You remember those ropes and the cloth that's tearing as the Titanic's sinking. Like everything is under so much strain that it's toppling. That's we're about 5 minutes from that in this picture.
No way. No way.
We'll shift from Titanic to Ghost Ship as some thread from her thing swings and chops everyone in half.
There's one where one of the back dancers flips her. He like picks her up and flips her, and they were pointing out on the Jim Norton show. They're like, oh, that looked like the hardest flip he's ever done. It looked like that did not look graceful. It looked like he was really struggling to get her up and over.
Mariah Carey could not make it as a ring girl. But this is the cool thing. This is what I like. I feel like, and I've said this before, so quickly people give me shit. But what? Fuck people. Anyway. Back in like 1985, there was one way to be hot. You had to look like Christy Brinkley. Now there are a dozen ways to be hot. You can look like Christy Brinkley. You can look like Kim Kardashian. You can look like Mariah Carey. Which is not to say Ariana's ever going to go out of style. But a big, thick ass that guys visualize grabbing onto as they do their thing, there's a market for that now. There didn't used to be.
Yeah,
there's always been a market.
I think there has been, but
there's always been a market for every kind of lady out there.
I think where Woody has a point here is that like in like marketing, in like the marketing that's front and foremost in our society, it was a lot of C-cupped, beautiful brunettes and blondes who were 5 foot, who were 5'10", had they were very thin. But they didn't have big booties. Brinkley's kind of got a pancake butt, right? Like it's a flat ass. It's a flat white lady ass, the way I remember it. She's perfection virtually, but not anymore. I think that
now she's old. But like if you picture a prime Brinkley, a prime Kathy Ireland, a prime who is the black woman that has a talk show who was a supermodel?
Oh, Tyra.
Yeah. Like these people were. They weren't bootylicious. It's not until like Beyonce says, "Look at my jiggly ass." Yeah, don't you want to fuck it?
Now you want to talk about somebody that's big? Like we can't give Mariah a pass without getting on Beyonce after that Super Bowl.
I don't know. I need to see this.
Yeah,
well, I remember that picture, but it was just like the worst screenshot of her imaginable.
Well, not the one where she's making the face.
Freeze frame.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't looked at her. The only picture I've seen of that is the one where she looks horrible.
Yeah,
so I don't even know what she looks like.
The one she tried to have removed from the internet.
Let's see.
Something.
Oh, Beyonce steals the show.
Oh, that's a bad.
With
Beyonce nearly.
Oh, that's there you go.
I meant to click view. I meant to click view image, but I clicked view page. Send you the wrong one. So
yeah. Well,
this is the actual image.
Yeah, you could have just told me it was on Hollywood Life, and I would have clicked my bookmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't look. She is not as heavy as Mariah Carey.
I agree.
Although
I will
definitely
say,
not.
She's thick in the middle too. Like her coat is really well done. They put these broad shoulders on. What are these shotgun?
A 25
slugs?
would not go through her.
Yeah, they put like shotgun slugs on her shoulders to make her really big up top, and then she's obviously big in the ass, and they do everything like. She's not as narrow in the belly as she should be, but they do that with her clothes.
They're doing something to accentuate and make her waist look more narrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel bad picking on these gorgeous women. Like it's one like I have no issue like giving somebody shit when it's due, but I just feel like Mariah is looking great here. Like I don't think I remember back to Miley Cyrus's like really tight that spandex or it was almost like the stuff they make rubber gloves out of, and how it made her ass look gross, and how it was really nasty looking in the end. And that's not what we got here. I think this is really classy, and it is tight, but it's a bodysuit. And I mean, she's pretty brave to go out there wearing that anyway. I think she looks great. She's like
I think she
like
looks
an 8
great
out
for
of
her
10
age because isn't she like 50 something?
No, I don't think she's that old. I know she just divorced this billionaire husband of hers. She was married to Nick Cannon, I think, and Nick could have taken like money from the divorce, but he didn't. And then she got married to this billionaire guy, and now she's wanting like $50 million inconvenience fee for like having to break up with him or something.
Her age is not known by Wikipedia, but she's either 46 or 47. So.
Okay. Oh, wow, a mystery.
Yeah. Did you find it too?
No, I was at.
Her birthday is March 27th. That much is known, but 69 or 70 is not. So interesting.
Cool. I like that little mystery behind Mariah Carey. Maybe she's from another world where they also can't sing. Yeah, she can't sing anymore. That's a real problem. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's super hot, and that body's crazy thick. But she cannot hit those high notes, and she can't sing.
I thought she did a decent job on Carpool Karaoke. I read that
she did it now.
I read that Carpool Karaoke exposed her as not being able to sing, but I heard it and thought, oh, you can sing. Like I thought I see these people on Carpool Karaoke and I'm like, their kids are really lucky. Like they're gonna get the best lullabies ever. You know, like if their parents sing to them, man, they're gonna like that. My kids, they didn't get much lullabies.
I didn't get any songs. We usually got stories.
Really,
but yeah, I thought that was incredibly embarrassing for her. She really didn't seem like she didn't give a shit. She was just out there going through the motions. I know, and she's doing that to promote her new tour. You know, she's going out and touring. And if I'm a prospective ticket buyer for her tour, I'm like, well, shit, like it's lip syncing. Like she's not going to actually be singing these songs. And even if she is, she's just going to be singing like some of the vocals because you could definitely tell part of the track that was overplaying was the real high notes where she's like, like she's going into this really beautiful thing where she's hitting crazy high notes and like, and then just dragging them out, and then it'll go even low, and it's just like, no, she can't hit that shit anymore, even if she could ever. So they're just playing a track.
I read someone on Reddit who seemed to do this stuff. He was like a producer professionally or something. Like he really seemed like he knew what he was doing, and he's like, Mariah Carey did not have a good situation here. Like they screwed it up. She couldn't hear herself in her monitor. And he's like, there's a reason deaf people don't talk very well because they can't regulate themselves. When you're performing in a live audience and it's so loud you can't hear yourself, you're going to sound god-awful. They're like, she had two options. She could have either not sang, which is what she did, or she could have sang and everyone would be ripping on how she can't sing anymore. He's like, the only embarrassing thing about this for Mariah is that she had help with the high notes. That was
false. No way. Because if you look at it, like once it gets working, once the whole system starts working and her monitor is working, she's just like,
It's very much
trying to be a good sport. Like
she's
like
like start working. Like
yeah, like they get it all going like for the second song, and she sings a little, and then she's like got the mic by her leg. She's just like, this is done. So she feels like somebody was fucking with her. But you're absolutely right about having the monitor not working. Like it is so weird to like talk into a mic and not hear yourself at all and just be like separated from that. It's almost like another level of mental gymnastics you have to do to like keep your voice going. You need to hear yourself talking to keep your timing and your verbiage correct without having to think about it like it's a thing. Yeah. Like to be able to talk without thinking, you need to be able to hear it.
I've had that on this show at times, right? And you think I can hear myself because I'm in a quiet room, but when you put the headset on, it's just dulled down. And just like Kyle said, like if you can't hear your own voice, it makes it tough.
Of course, everybody only do one headset. Like of course, everybody have this or one and one off because it just bothers me to not be able to hear myself.
Then everybody posted clips of Adele's audio quitting working and Lady Gaga's audio when it would quit working, and they're both like, "Oh, now y'all get a real show." You know, they fucking then you just get them. Like they'll in Adele's case, she led the whole crowd in a chorus, just still like screaming her heart out, singing the song because she was actually singing the song the whole time.
So good.
Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah. Lady Gaga's great too.
Lady Gaga. Is she, maybe she is. I don't know. I'm not able to judge people very well, but every so often, like a popular singer comes along, and you're like, whoa! Like not only is this person popular, but they're super good. Because like there's tons of Backstreet Boys, and I don't even know who's popular. Justin Bieber, right? He's super popular, and I'm not saying the guy's not talented. He totally is, but he doesn't to be the number one guy, he's not the number one talent. Christina Aguilera could sing like crazy, and the Titanic chick, I can't remember her name right now.
Celine Dion
could sing really well. And right now, oh, interesting. Kyle says so. I hear Adele, and I'm like, this is like, she is so good at singing. This,
It's a very rich voice. That's the thing to me.
She seems like she'd sing in church.
Very passionate. It's very good. It's deep. Lady Gaga's great too. If you ever look at Lady Gaga singing a cappella or while she's playing her piano in like some small thing, it's excellent. She's got incredible vocals.
That's cool. Yeah, because I know of her from like Poker Face and stuff like that, which doesn't.
Yeah.
Really...
Oh, when she sings Poker Face a cappella, it's great. There's none of that tech music in there. There's no there's no altering her voice or anything. It's really pure. It's really clean. And she plays the piano, acoustic and everything. It's I've heard a bunch of her performances because she went on Stern and played like a whole album one time, just a microphone and a piano.
We should tell Chiz to book her.
Yeah, get right on that. I'm sure she's free.
Yeah. Oh, the music teacher I paid $80 to come and perform on Painkiller Already. Do you guys remember that?
I very well, yes.
It was like a silent raffle or something, and he was supposed to write a song, and I was like, you know what, I'll do that. I think that'll be fun. He got let go from the school, and I think that I just we didn't strike when the iron was hot enough, I guess. Bummer.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I guess he was going through. Well, I know he was going through a divorce, and then he just wasn't the best version of himself, and the school let him go. I guess he wasn't tenured. It's sad when that happens. Like, I don't know. It's like I've seen companies carry people and not carry people when they're just. It's like, yeah, this guy's gonna suck at work for 4 months. We're okay with that. He'll need to step it up after things smooth over. But somehow when you're like teaching kids, like it's not okay to suffer through that. I don't know. Tough break.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, put the kids first.
Children first, Kyle.
Yeah.
Children always first.
Was that a show?
I was just thinking that. Okay. Painkiller Nearly, episode 125. That's a wrap.
See ya.